Welcome to American Dealmaker. After the episode, it's your turn. Thank you to WeFunder for making this podcast possible. I'm your host, Constance, startup founder and dealmaker. Today in the deal room, we've got Weya, a startup founder from Pittsburgh. He is only in San Francisco for a few weeks, and he is here in the deal room today pitching his startup, Instinct Robotics. Weya, welcome to the deal room.
I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. I know you're only in town for a few weeks, and then you're headed back to Pittsburgh. I'm glad that you could make it today, and it was fun crossing paths a few weeks back. I learned a little bit about your founder journey and your startup. I was super excited about Instinct Robotics, so I do want to dive into that today. For the audience, I want to start off and have you share a high-level pitch of Instinct Robotics.
Hey guys, I'm CEO and founder of Instinct Robotics. So what we do, we basically provide the autonomous solution for the post-welding treatment. So so the reason why we do this job is because we know the United States has been facing a significant labor shortage across the country, and all the existing solutions are just very limited. They can only apply to very limited range or just human labor to do the job. So expensive and not super adaptable. So our start was actually originated by Biden administration back 3 years ago, and were granted by Department of Defense. And so right now we have been successfully developed all the technology, and it's now the time to ready to release to the general public. So we're targeting on a hundreds of billions of dollars market, and there we go. So that's a little of the short story of the background. And so in terms of the more technical level, we have proudly bring the most recent advance of technology from academia. So we have created the most recent control and planning foundation. It's kind of technology, I like terms so from the field, but yeah, it's like the most recent foundation of planning and control plus reinforcement learning, so that we can make sure our product can be super adaptive and it can handle arbitrary complexity of the outer or inner surface grinding tasks. Yeah, and so we're excited to launch it shortly. And so currently we plan to do two models in terms of business. One do first off is it's called CapEx, where straight sale to the customer. They acquire our system for some dollars, and then we can do second round. It's called RaaS model. It's like robot on service. We provide them, we rent them this robot cell, and they can use it to grind whatever they want, post-welding treatment, of course. So at this stage, we have some early adopters. We got Siemens Energy. We have successful collaboration with them to grind this so-called high precision and the super complex gas turbine precision piece. So it's like that will be used for the aerospace engineering. And we got some partnership with some local Pittsburgh manufacturers. They all receive all kinds of commissions from customers. Say, hey, I want to make that, and then they just use human worker to do the job. But just because of they're so short of human labor, they just postpone their delivery deadline by a couple months. So they came to us, and we offered them a super efficient and affordable solution. And yeah, so we project a substantial growth in terms of the revenue, hundreds of millions of dollars in the recent years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great, I love it. A very nice detailed background, and it's really interesting to hear your startup journey beginning with government support. And I remember you mentioned to me when I first started learning about Instinct Robotics that you guys actually got to have a visit. The robot had a little meet and greet with President Joe Biden and the First Lady.
And First Lady, yes.
That's super exciting.
Thank you.
So did you feel that the product that was seen during that meet and greet is pretty much the same product that you're bringing out to the market today, or has there been significant innovations?
So Biden visited us in 2020. Back then it was kind of early phase, but then to this year, I think it's in February, March or something. So First Lady paid a visit to our shop floor, and that's what we developed. So it's the same, and she just touched our robot plus the grinding tool. That's really exciting.
Wow, amazing. I mean, I think that shows that you're truly onto something innovative here.
Thank you.
I want to dive into some questions, and for the Dealmakers at home to understand really who is using this product, tell us about some use cases for the robot. Tell us about the specific business or the specific use the customer may use it for.
Sounds good. I would say one is more higher end, and the other one is more daily use based. So let me talk about the first higher end thing. So I'll give it an example for aerospace. So there's some hot pressure gas will flow from the jet, and so they need some material to make the gas turbine to be able to tolerate those high pressure heat and pressure. So they gotta make the interior super smooth. And so for right now, like all those higher end manufacturers, they just using human to do the job because it's you can imagine it's pretty narrow and pretty long and very precise. So non-existing robot solution can do the job. So yeah, and there's a client. I will give it a category. Their characteristics like they require complexity, high precision, and currently just majorly done by a human worker. And of course, because it's aerospace engineering, it's super expensive. So that's why we can provide a solution to them. Because our solution, we can provide much efficient compared to human labor because they can easily get labor fatigue. But our robot can work 24/7 and offers higher consistent quality and high efficiency and much lower price. It's like we compute. So once upon a time we have a computation. It's like for higher aerospace related like welders, they probably can grind 1 meter with was $20. For our solution, we can grind 1 meter with only $1.25. So that's a significant boost. Yeah, so that's generally for the higher end side. And there's another category of client, I would call it more daily based. So example is like all those local manufacturers. For example, there's a ski resort. So they currently they just ordered like 1,500 chairs from the local manufacturer. Well, this sort of client request have a characteristic is it is high mix and low volume, which means that every batch is different. It's designed differently, and they usually will produce only in like small amount, just around 1,000. So there's couldn't be a like sustainable way to build a whole standard pipeline because that's too expensive. So just human do the job. But right now, just the Mid-East, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, it's just so lack of human labor, and just they have to postpone the delivery date by half a year. So that's what we can also do. We can provide because we can supply unlimited amount of robot system to them, and it can work super fast. So we can address their need, and we can also bring the human labor fee down to less than half.
Amazing.
Yes.
I love that there's some really strong use cases here, and it really seems to translate to a lot of different areas. Tell us about the market, because you are in the robotics space.
Yes.
Are there other companies that you are looking out at building similar things? Are you the first to market? Paint us the landscape of what things look like here in the space.
Of course. So everybody knows the shortage of labor, and there are definitely some companies trying to address it. So I will call there's 3 generations of technology. So one is, of course, I would call it like 4 generation. Obviously, first 1 generation is just use human, use human to do the job. But lack of human. So the second generation is, I think we call it manual programming.
Yes.
So there's the industry robot has been around for a couple of decades.
Mm-hmm.
It's well known. So the traditional solution, and in fact there's a lot of companies do this solution, is they use teaching pendant, and they hard code this specific path for a given product.
Mm-hmm.
So and like human use their knowledge, expert knowledge, say I want this robot to go follow this specific path for this specific product, and that's one of the major company their solution.
Yeah.
But one obvious like drawbacks for that is if you change a product for this high mix, low volume,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna do the whole things again. So that's pretty much expensive. So there's another recent generation of technology. We call it auto programming.
Mm-hmm.
So they use sort of AI to see things. This recent one is called Gray Matter Robotics. It's doing great. It's just doing super great. I think they just raised around 50 million just last week or so. They're doing great. So, but the one thing is that they currently rely on a super expensive like tool to maintain contact, maintain force, and currently they only do because they're only focusing on this sort of surface polishing, and their major use cases is for some large flat like product.
Mm-hmm. You are a PhD student at Carnegie Mellon in the robotics program, and so I know that your team is also partly based in this program. One of your co-founders is your professor.
Yeah.
So tell me about the way that you are approaching this based on your background and how you're using AI for audience members that are interested in AI and want to hear exactly the applications here.
Sounds good. So actually, I would call it for AI. There's a lot of areas. So broadly AI, we think it is, machine use its own perception of the environment and make its own decision. And there's not a way to realize that. So more traditional way is we use optimizations, we use controls to do the job. And the good thing for those kind of areas, explainable. The well-known structure, people can understand it. But there's some limitation is because right now the robotic system is so complex, and the environment we're dealing with, for example, for the grinding, sometimes we don't know the materials. So there's some uncertain part. So that comes in the most recent breakthrough, and there's most recent techniques called reinforcement learning. And actually this technique has been applied to deploy to a wide range of existing well-known applications, such as, do you know AlphaGo from Google? Is like a Go player, super good. And then most recently the ChatGPT, it is also fine-tuned by reinforcement learning, use human feedback. So yeah, so we also apply the similar techniques in our solution. So generally, all the audience or manufacturers, they have their specific requirement for their precision. So from our research, we believe the solution should be based on a structure. We based on a well-known structure. We plan things, we see things, we plan things, and we control things. And then we use reinforcement learning to compensate those unknown areas. So to satisfy like individual preference of kind of material, the precision. Yeah, so pretty much with these two breakthroughs, I think the next generation technology can satisfy most of the need from the client manufacturers.
Amazing. Great. I want to toss this over to our studio audience. Any questions that you've got for the startup founder?
What has been your biggest obstacle so far in your, founding journey?
I would call it, actually, I'm currently doing smooth right now, but that's a pretty good question. So I think for a young PhD like me, I just graduated. I haven't graduated yet, but I'm graduating soon. But still, I'm in school. So I would say the most challenging part is how you can connect with VCs, right? And sometimes people will say, "Hey, you should like ask your connections." And but interesting thing is that our startup currently have a pretty much matured prototype. So the original way of you participating in some accelerator program, that's too long for us because we have gone through that process. We got client. So the question is then how can you directly reach out to the serious VC? They will directly see your pitch and give you money if they're interested. And I would say that's the most difficult part because all of my direct circles, we have no connections with some serious VCs. So this is the reason why I feel like I kind of stuck in Pittsburgh. And that's a very interesting part. I have no idea what I should do, but I just have an intuition is I shouldn't stay in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So I just came here, and magic happens. I met you. I met a lot of founders, and I made so many connections, and I see these connections just grow exponentially. And problem solved. I currently have talked to tens of VCs, and even more is coming. So, yeah, that's one of the things.
Nice.
Amazing. I want to dive into some questions in regards to your founder journey. Did you always know that you wanted to go into becoming a business owner, or is this something that you didn't see coming?
Awesome question. I would say that since my very early year, obviously I'm not thinking about that. I'm a bachelor, but once I went to PhD program, and I think after 1 year, and my whole thought is I should own a business. I want to call it own business, but I want to do some real things to be capable of bringing the most recent technology to benefit the whole world. And so there's two routes basically. I go professor. I keep investing like all those new theories and the new methodologies, or I can be an entrepreneur to focus on some specific area and bring the existing technology to there. So and I prefer the latter one because I feel like that's more direct for me because I currently have already got the resources. We got the correct application, and I can see the potential of it. So because it's back 3 years ago, so I think after we have solidified some methodologies and a deployment on it, and I'm convinced I should do this job. Yeah.
Amazing. Tell us about the early stages of prototyping. How did you approach that, and how did your product change over time from the beginning to now?
That's an awesome question. So, yeah, the whole story behind of it is, I think back in 2019, that's still Trump administration. But either so either party, either government, they have they know that this kind of labor shortage exists.
Mm-hmm.
So it was back in 2019. There's a national call saying, "Hey, I think we should have an autonomous solution using robot to address the labor shortage." So back then there's a project call for around 4 million, and then my group, my advisor, and plus the partnership with the Army Institute is like a non-profit robot for manufacturing or organization. So yeah, we partnership with Carnegie Mellon, this Army Institute, and we successfully secure this. We win the bid.
Mm-hmm.
So then we take the money, and then here's the question, right? How do we approach this kind of technology, or how can we solve this problem? And originally, there's no certain clear route, but in high level, we agree that we definitely need to see things pretty precisely because it is a higher end, it needs a sub-millimeter precision. So that's one part of the question, how we do it. And then the next question is how we plan things, right? Because if we want to automate everything, you need to be prepared so that it is so adaptable to any possible like surfaces. It could be working on super like clustering environment and all things. So that's pretty hard because that's in general speaking it will be a highly nonlinear and non-convex and multiple constraint problem. So that's the second question. And third question is how can we remove those materials? Because we're doing like post-welding treatment and some different materials and even the heat can matter. So three big question. And then there's the first stage. As the time goes on, like you said, we have changed our technology route. And so in the first place, we plan to use this to see things clearly. We want to use this like real sense camera. It's like a super high precision RGB depth camera to see things. But the thing is, it's pretty expensive, and also the precision is not that good. It's around there's a like perception error around 1 centimeter, and that's not tolerable because we need below 1 millimeter. So we switched the idea. We switched to hey, I think we can use laser. But here's a lot of like interesting question behind the scene, right? If you use laser, then it is basically a 2D information, just laser beam. And how can you perceive the whole 3D world? And yeah, we have gone through a lot of advancement behind the scene. We solved the problem. And yeah, come to the second question, like how can we plan things for everything? It's still pretty hard because, right? Because let's say we want to avoid a chair, it's super complex geometry. Then we definitely have to avoid all the cloud point, and that's like tens of thousands. There's hundreds of thousands of cloud points to be avoided. It's a super complex or expensive computation to be solved. And then based on that, we published like several papers in most recent machine learning conferences, and we have solved that question. We can done it so quickly, and with super high performance and completeness. That's what we use. So for the last question, for the control part, like originally back like 2 years ago, we said, hey, we can just use simple force control. But the thing is, like I said, different materials, they got different requirement. Then there's a requirement for adaptability. So we built on top of that and then introduce the most recent like reinforcement learning because, RL, it can create an AI agent to succeed in everything. So you can treat it as like a game. There's AI is playing a video game, and the goal for the game is you should provide the correct force to make the after grinding, after post-welding treatment, the surface smooth, given any materials. So that's the task. And so RL, with reinforcement learning, it can learn it with 10 millions of parallel training of in GPU samples, and it can solve everything. Because every time it be applied to real world, you say, oh, I have already seen this environment. I've seen this scene during my training in my head. Yeah, so it can solve it. So yeah, there's definitely a